Welcome to the True Hunt, and today's maritime story is on maritime and coastal security. For that, we have on the board Commodore Chitnis, who has served Indian Navy for distinguished years. And apart from that, he has won 2 medals. One is Shaurya Chakra and the other one is Nausena Medal. And apart from that, we have got Captain Subehdar, who has been an ex-cadet, Dufferin 1966, a former Master Superintendent of SCI, Anglo-Eastern Technical Officer, IMO, DOT, UK, who has also been an Executive Director, Ocean Sparkle Group of Companies, Director, INSA. Apart from that, he is also a member of Tolani Marine Engineering College and Academic Council. And we have got, as usual, our guest, Captain Gajanan Karanjikar. Sir, aap sabka swagat hai. Namaskar. Before putting my first question, I would like to read out that India's 7,516 kilometer long coastline, which includes 5,422 kilometers of coastline on the mainland and 2,094 kilometers on the islands belonging to 9 states and 4 union territories, which makes the coastal line guarding more important. Sir, my question first with Commodore Chitnis is, as we are aware that after 2008 Mumbai attacks, the maritime security and the coastal security has been taken very seriously. So where we are today, where we started, could you throw a light on this, please?
Thank you very much for having me on the show. Post 2008, we started taking it seriously is slightly unfair to many people concerned. We have always been very serious about coastal security because it is one of the duties of the Navy and other forces like Coast Guard, etc. But yes, if you point 2008 as a starting point, where a term called marine domain awareness, that is what actually got coined after 2008. Now, 2008 was an eye-opener because a boatload of terrorists could come right into Bombay fishing village and carry out these terrorist attacks over there. So it was an eye-opener, and that got a lot of people thinking about this, and therefore there were a lot of high-level meetings and with all the people concerned. There are several agencies actually. Then they came together, and then the Prime Minister said that, okay, we will have some single point coordination. So first it was, is it Coast Guard duty? Is it the Marine Police? Is it the State Police? Nobody was very sure of who was responsible for what. But then the whole maritime domain awareness was put under the Chief of Naval Staff, and the DG Coast Guard was made in charge of coastal security. Ever since then, there have been joint operations rooms which are manned at all major centers like Bombay and Visakhapatnam and Cochin and Andaman, etc., where you have people from the Navy, the Coast Guard, the police round the clock. And during working hours, you have people from customs, etc., everyone, all those who are involved with security.
Sir, I would like to bring Captain Subehdar into the session, please. Sir, what is your say on this?
Gaurav, my take, with due respect to Commodore Chitnis and the information that is available in the public domain, is that one way or the other, the subject of coastal security, coastal safety has been, as Commodore Chitnis rightly says, the resources are skewed so much on the land and hardly anything on the waters front. So on both coastal safety, coastal security, coastal navigation, coastal shipping, all of these contribute towards coastal security in general. I personally believe our coast is so dark from end to end that such thing like 2008 can happen. Our fishing vessels don't have automatic identification system. In case of Indian coastal shipping, Indian coastal security, I'm afraid that much has been done, much was being done before, but there are very, very basic things that are still missing. For example, the radar stations are actually not operational. The biggest mistake India did way back in 1998 when I was in England is making India into GMBSS Area A3 instead of making it Area A1, where the coastal stations, radio stations would have got upgraded, the fishing vessels would have got upgraded, coastal shipping would have got upgraded, and unnecessarily the Indian ship owners were put into a big problem of making an international radio communication available on all its ships, which the small ship owners, operators, small boats cannot comply with. And therefore, my take is that resources on the waterfront have been lacking.
Sir, I would like to bring in Captain Gajanan Karanjikar. So same question to you.
Namaskar, Gaurav. Thank you very much again. Back to the Maritime Week show. Thank you very much for doing these videos with these two veterans today. See, the maritime coastal security, though they are combined together, has always been a cause of concern for us. And from 2008 onward, it became major cause of concern. As Commodore Chitnis rightly said, national maritime domain awareness is something which was much much needed, and a push from Delhi was needed. Indian Navy was always active. Now with this National Maritime Domain Awareness and 2008 incident, everything it has got into a process. We have everything on paper. As Captain Subehdar rightly said, we still lack in the infrastructure, and that is what is killing India everywhere. Whether it's bed road, in shipping, it is much more felt. We have a sea blindedness from the Delhi corridors to the navy and to the shipping sector. But that is also so slowly fading away because Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji is leading from the front now again on the maritime. He has spoken on many occasions on maritime security, and SAGAR is like an initiative which has been taken up now, which is also very commendable. The collaboration, again, collective effort, cooperation from everyone will definitely, beef up the security.
Sir, my next question to Commodore Chitnis is, sir, I'm talking about 2022. There was a conference in which named Aegis of Colombo Security Conclave held in Chennai, and the participation from Defense Secretary, Government of India, who talked about the 5 basic principles to address the maritime security issues. First one, removing barriers from the legitimate maritime trade, settle maritime disputes by peaceful means through international law, mitigating natural disasters and maritime threats, preservation and protection of maritime environment, encouraging responsible maritime connectivity, and increase maritime trade through creation of substantial infrastructure. Could you throw a light on this type of conclave which was held in Chennai?
This particular conclave is a follow-up of previous similar conclaves. Let us start with Narendra Modi ji. He said in 2018, he coined an acronym called SAGAR. And SAGAR, which of course in Hindi means ocean, but otherwise SAGAR stood for security and growth for all in the region. This was at the Shanghai Cooperation Dialogue in 2018 when he made this statement. And this reflects the mindset of the man. He says that it should not security, not for us, for everyone in the region. SAGAR, that was the beginning of the vision. Even before that, I must quote one of his quotations, which I came across very recently, where he has said, to me, the blue or the wheel or chakra in our national flag represents the potential of the blue revolution of the ocean economy. That is how central the ocean economy is to us. When a person says this, you realize that he is talking futuristic and he knows that sustainable development, and if India is to go to a 5 trillion economy, there is no doubt in my mind that the route is going to be blue economy. So these kind of conclaves happen, and they are expanding on what has already been said. Yes.
I would like to bring in Captain Subehdar. Sir, of course, recently the government has appointed India's first National Maritime Security Coordinator, Vice Admiral G. Ashok Kumar, who was a former Vice Chief. How the appointment has made the difference in the maritime security?
The coordination appointment has happened from the central government side. It is still, to the best of my knowledge, very Navy and Coast Guard centric and very little to do with shipping, with whom I am concerned about. And I personally believe it is too early to make any judgment on the coordinator's role in developing Indian coastal security schemes or system, whether be it under the SAGAR umbrella or under the Indo-Pacific. Those are very two different spectrums.
Sir, I'd like to bring in Captain Gajanan Karanjikar. Sir, same question to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the coordination is one thing what India lacks in all sectors, and maritime sector is no different. So appointment has rightfully come, and somebody sitting there calling shots has really realized that there needs to be a coordination between the Indian Navy, Coast Guard, a shipping sector, which is promising sector today. And as Commodore Chitnis rightly said, blue economy is on the growth path. So there will be many more emerging sectors will come in blue economy, like seabed mining, coastal tourism will come into it. Ocean energy will play a big part in renewable energy, is coming forward. Green hydrogen production plants will come out at sea now using the energy received from ocean. So in these all, we need a national coordinator, and definitely the coordinator will help you.
Sir, my question to Commodore Chitnis is, sir, as we are aware that if we talk about the 5 threats to the maritime security, which talks about the terrorism, piracy, robbery, illegal trafficking of goods and people, illegal fishing and pollution as well. So how the difference is there in the maritime and the coastal security now to protect these kind of security needs?
You see, these 5 threats that you talked about, basically these are the non-conventional threats, or they are, Indian Navy has got 4 roles. Basically, one is the military role, which everyone understand. Military role is, war fighting role, that you don't let someone do harm to you and you will harm someone when there's a war. The second role is a diplomatic role, which is a very important role that the Navy plays, naval diplomacy. It's an instrument of foreign policy. Your ship can go anywhere. Today, if there is trouble, let's say in Somalia, you send your ship over there and, you send, and you see the Indian naval flag flying over there, then so Indian Navy is here. And there is no restriction on that. So that is the diplomatic role. In very brief, that is basically, one is that to counter any threat. Second is to build bridges of friendship. Our ships keep going all over the world. It's basically to show your flag, to build friends. And the third role is the constabulary role. What you talked about is what the Navy has to do as a constabulary role. And for that, actually, most of this role has now been handed over to the Coast Guard.
My answer, Gaurav, on all the 5 identified threats, first of all, they are mutually exclusive events and cannot be termed under coastal security. Coastal security, terrorism, piracy, pollution are all different things of the maritime domain. At the end of the day, each of those 5 threats have to be dealt by different agencies, by different people under one coordination, which may or may not happen in the near future. My take on this is that we are lacking infrastructure on all the 5 fronts, and therefore little progress has been made since 2008.
Sir, moving on, with all respect, both of you, moving on to my next question. It is to start with Commodore Chitnis. Sir, as you mentioned about South China Sea, recently there was a meeting, ASEAN Defense Ministers Meeting Plus, in which our Honorable Defense Minister said, I'm reading through a newspaper quote, that India was committed towards nurturing practical, forward-looking and result-oriented cooperation with ADMM+. So, sir, how this cooperation, especially towards China Sea, would be seen in the near future? I'm talking about the global aspect.
This ASEAN, actually, India is not a member of ASEAN. India is a member of the ASEAN Plus.
Yes, ASEAN Plus
India,
in Jakarta, the meeting was held.
Yeah, so that India is an invitee to ASEAN. ASEAN was the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. India became an invitee. Now, these defense ministers of these ASEAN nations and India had this meeting. Now, what he said is exactly what I'm trying to say, that, we are here to look towards you. Actually, this is a part of our Think East, Act East policy that was started after this around 2014, when we really started looking eastwards. So our eastern neighbors are these ASEAN countries, and they are much smaller than their very big brother sitting over there. The big brother who tries to control everything, because it's BRI and, Belt Road Initiative and this, that, and other. So that is one way of looking at it. And, the other way of looking at it is what we say, that, look, all these countries have been burdened with such a huge debt because of the BRI that they are likely to fall into terrible times. We saw Sri Lanka going through it a few years ago. They're recovering. Pakistan is still in the throes of that debt trap. Similar things are going to happen all around. Africa, most of the countries which have signed up for the BRI are in terrible debt to China. So it's much more than their GDP, their debt. We have to support each other for maintaining a balance of some sorts in that area. So we are their partners in that. That's what the defense minister has been saying.
I'd like to bring in Captain Gajanan Karanjikar. Sir, I would like to ask you the same question, but please throw a light through the perspective of the security point of view.
See how it is like this. The maritime security is not only dealing with the threats of terrorism and things like that. There's also a geopolitical, arena where the whole, our neighbors, other nations claiming the part of the ocean and the ocean resources, and they've been slightly ahead of us. So this initiative like ASEAN was very much required. We have something called an Indian Ocean Region Association also. And Modi, he's diplomatic, but his diplomatic nature is with vision. So he creates with a vision of 10, 15, 20, 30 years. SAGAR is one of the security and growth for all. When you talk about it, the growth is where you are being given a free passage for a lawful trade, a free navigation kind of thing. So the ASEAN Plus was formed with that kind of a mindset. Whether it happens or not on political stage, really, it is a matter of time. But at least India has started the initiative.
Thank you so much, all of you. And thank you so much, Jai Hind.